Vikings Nation, buckle up because today's conversation might divide this fanbase right down the middle. The season is officially over, and while the Seattle Seahawks are celebrating another Lombardi trophy, our Minnesota Vikings are left reflecting on a 9-8 campaign that ended without a playoff berth. And here's the twist that makes this story even more dramatic. The quarterback at the center of it all was Sam Darnold. Yes, you heard that right. The same Sam Darnold who once led the Vikings to a 14-3 season, now hoisting a Super Bowl with Seattle. That image alone is enough to spark debates across every Vikings message board. So the big question, Vikings fans, did Minnesota make the right call moving on? Or did we just watch our former quarterback win it all somewhere else? Stay with me because this story has layers, and it's not as simple as it looks. Let's rewind for context. After that 14-win season, expectations in Minnesota were sky-high. Many believed the Vikings had found stability at quarterback. But the front office made a bold decision. It was time to see what they had in J.J. McCarthy. Critics were quick to pounce. Moving on from a quarterback who just delivered 14 wins? That's risky. But from a long-term roster-building perspective, it wasn't reckless, it was strategic. The Vikings needed clarity. Was McCarthy the future? That question couldn't wait forever. And in today's NFL, you either commit to a rookie window, or you pay the veteran price. Now let's talk about McCarthy's reality. His biggest enemy hasn't been talent. It's been health. He missed his entire rookie season with a torn meniscus suffered in preseason. That alone set his development back in a major way. This past season didn't make things easier. An ankle injury, a concussion, and a hand issue cost him 7 games. For a young quarterback trying to establish rhythm, that's brutal. And yes, when he was on the field, there were struggles. But in his final 4 games, we saw flashes. Real flashes. The kind that remind you why he was drafted 10th overall. Imagine this for a second, Vikings fans. If Minnesota had started McCarthy immediately after drafting him, with that loaded roster and all that cap space, how different would this narrative be right now? The front office used that cap flexibility aggressively. They signed Ryan Kelly, Javon Hargrave, and Jonathan Allen. On paper, those were championship-caliber additions. Kelly played well when healthy but missed 9 games due to concussions. Hargrave and Allen didn't fully deliver the impact fans expected. But at the time, these were praised moves. This wasn't a passive front office. This was a team trying to maximize a competitive window. They also kept key pieces. Re-signing Byron Murphy Jr. and adding Isaiah Rodgers strengthened the secondary. Murphy didn't replicate his 2024 numbers, but he was still solid. Rodgers had a quietly strong season. The defense wasn't the problem most weeks. The inconsistency came from offensive rhythm and injuries, which brings us back to the quarterback question. Could Sam Darnold have taken this 2025 Vikings team to the Super Bowl? Honestly, Vikings fans, it feels unlikely. In this league, anything can happen. But Seattle's roster top to bottom was stronger. That matters. Darnold threw 35 touchdowns in 2024, then 25 this past season. Fewer scores, yet more team success. That tells you something important. Football is about the roster, not just the quarterback. Let's also address the financial side, because this is where it gets real. According to Over the Cap, Minnesota sits roughly $40 million over the projected salary cap. McCarthy is due about $6 million in 2026. Darnold? Nearly $38 million. That difference changes everything. Keeping Darnold would have meant cutting depth, restructuring deals, maybe sacrificing long-term flexibility. The Vikings chose the rookie contract path. And here's the gamble in its purest form. If McCarthy pans out, this decision will look brilliant. If he becomes a bust, fans will point back to this moment forever. But context matters. He was drafted to be the future. The organization needed to know. You cannot build sustainably in today's NFL without clarity at quarterback. Now look ahead. Minnesota holds the 18th overall pick and gets a third-place schedule in 2026. That schedule advantage could be massive. A softer slate, a healthy McCarthy, and another year of development under his belt? That's a recipe for a potential bounce-back season. And remember, he would still be on his rookie deal entering 2027. That window matters more than ever in the modern NFL. So here's where we stand, Vikings Nation. Yes, it stings seeing Sam Darnold succeed elsewhere. Yes, missing the postseason after a 14-win year hurts. But this wasn't incompetence. It was a calculated risk. A bet on youth, cap flexibility, and long-term upside. The real verdict won't come this offseason. It will come a year from now. So I want to hear from you. Did the Minnesota Vikings make the right call? Would you have kept Darnold? Or are you all in on J.J. McCarthy as the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments, Vikings fans. Let's get this debate rolling. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Minnesota Vikings news and analysis, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with every member of Vikings Nation. More Vikings updates are coming, and you don't want to miss them. Skol! And let's take this even deeper, because this story isn't just about one quarterback decision. It's about identity. What kind of team do the Minnesota Vikings want to be over the next 5 years? Are we a franchise that chases short-term validation, or one that commits to building something sustainable? That's the tension behind this entire debate. And as passionate fans, we feel every move. Because when you watch Sam Darnold celebrating in Seattle, it's emotional. It feels personal. But front offices don't operate on emotion, they operate on projections. Let's not ignore something important here. Darnold's success with the Seattle Seahawks didn't happen in a vacuum. That roster was stacked. Stronger offensive line depth, a more consistent run game, a defense that could close games late. When you compare that to Minnesota's injury battles and cap situation, context changes the narrative. Quarterbacks elevate teams, but teams also elevate quarterbacks. And here's something Vikings Nation needs to remember. Darnold's 35-touchdown season in 2024 was fantastic, but it wasn't flawless. There were games where the offense stalled. There were stretches where red zone efficiency dipped. He was good, very good, but not necessarily irreplaceable at elite money. That's the key. Paying $37.9 million for very good becomes complicated when you're already projected over the cap. Now flip the lens back to J.J. McCarthy. He's entering a pivotal stretch. Year 3 is often where quarterbacks either make the leap or don't. We've seen young quarterbacks struggle early and then explode once the game slows down. Timing improves. Processing speeds up. Confidence builds. And when you combine that potential growth with another draft class, strategic free agency, and cap maneuvering, the Vikings could quietly reset faster than people expect. Let's also talk about perception. National media loves a simple storyline. Vikings let Super Bowl QB walk. It's easy. It generates clicks. But inside the building, the evaluation is deeper. It's about trajectory. It's about ceiling versus cost. And honestly, Vikings fans, if McCarthy hits, if he becomes a top 10 quarterback while earning rookie money, this team becomes dangerous. Because that financial flexibility allows you to build a deeper defense, retain playmakers, and protect him long-term. That's how modern contenders are built. Now here's another angle. Imagine Minnesota had re-signed Darnold, squeezed under the cap, and still finished 9-8 or 10-7 without a deep playoff run. What would we be saying today? We'd be talking about stagnation, about being stuck in the middle, about missing the window to transition to youth. Sometimes the hardest decisions are the ones that look worse in the short term but make sense structurally. And I truly believe that's what we're seeing unfold with the Minnesota Vikings right now. The 18th overall pick in the upcoming draft is huge. That's a premium spot to add impact talent, whether it's offensive line help, a dynamic weapon, or defensive reinforcements. Pair that with a third-place schedule in 2026, and suddenly the path back to relevance looks very realistic. Momentum in the NFL swings fast. But here's the emotional truth. This all comes down to McCarthy's development. No scheme, no cap maneuvering, no draft pick matters more than that. If he stays healthy and builds off those final 4 games, where we saw improved decision-making and better pocket movement, the narrative could flip quickly. And if he doesn't, then yes, the criticism will be loud. It will be relentless. That's the quarterback position in the NFL. That's the pressure. So Vikings Nation, This is where belief meets patience. Do you trust the process? Do you believe the Minnesota Vikings front office made a calculated move for long-term success? Or do you think letting Darnold walk will haunt this franchise for years? I want your honest take. Are we 1 year away from saying this was genius, or 1 year away from regret? Sound off below. Let's debate it like true Vikings fans. If you're passionate about Minnesota Vikings news, roster breakdowns, cap analysis, and everything happening in Vikings Nation, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like button if you're riding with McCarthy. Share this video with fellow fans. And turn on notifications so you never miss the next deep dive into Minnesota Vikings news. This offseason is just getting started. And trust me, more twists are coming. Skol, Vikings Nation.